Hey class, here's a look at today's assignment on Native American treaties and some of the wars that followed and how things wrapped up for the natives in the Pacific Northwest after Washington became a territory. Go ahead and go into modules. Once you have opened that up, if you were not joining us for the Zoom meeting, you should take a look at the entry ticket. Before you start, try and answer it and then go to the assignment. Open the assignment up. There is reading in there. It is lesson 4 from unit 3. Let's take a look at that real quick. It's from our textbook, The Washington Journey. It's about Washington taking shape. Starts off, goes from treaties to statehood. You will want to familiarize yourself with the timeline because there are some questions on today's assignment about it. Kind of goes through the time of the Whitman Massacre up through the time of Washington becoming a state. Goes through the treaty-making period. Talks about the changing relationship between the settlers and the Native Americans of the area. Talks about some of the cultural conflicts that led to some of the wars and treaties. Talks about the Stevens Treaties, a series of 10 treaties that Governor Isaac Stevens, our first territorial governor, signed with the Native Americans. Talks about how some of the promises in those treaties were broken. Kind of the aftermath. Talks a little bit about fishing rights and why they became important to both the Native Americans and the Americans. And then we go into Indian wars, beginning with some wars between the Yakima people and the Nez Perce, which were some of the last major conflicts between the whites and the natives. Goes in detail about the Nez Perce War. If you recall, Lewis and Clark felt the Nez Perce were the most hospitable tribe they dealt with on their journey. So we take a look in the reading of the Nez Perce and how they were one of the few tribes to successfully battle the U.S. Army for a period of time until they were actually forced to surrender after going to Canada, coming back to Montana, and basically running out of food and supplies. Talks about Chief Joseph, their leader, and good statement from when he surrendered, basically stating, "I will fight no more forever." That's been repeated quite often because he was one of the last chiefs to resign and basically surrender his tribe. Talks about what happened to them and then the aftermath of wars, including the Dawes Act and the boarding schools for Native American children. Okay, after you have done that, the reading, go through the assignment. It's about 20 questions there, multiple choice, some from the timeline, all have the page numbers by them. And then at the end, there is an optional question that asks you who and what is most responsible for the Native Americans losing most of their land and rights in the 1800s. Was this fair? How could things have been different? You need to kind of summarize what you've read in this unit to answer that question. And you need to answer this if you want to get a 4 on completes work and participation. Thanks. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me or hit me up in chat.